Hello, hello, hello. Happy Sunday. Let me start off by saying whether you are watching live or watching the replay, this is going to have to be a two-parter. The minute, the second, or maybe a little bit before that I started to stream, I started to feel weak. And so I think we got just enough energy to do a meditation today, an actual meditation today, and that then we will go over what I had planned to bring forth today. So, hello, my name is Coach Yolanda. I'm an international spiritual life coach. I am a birth doula. I am a Reiki master teacher. I am many things. Most of all, I'm happy to be here today. I'm happy to be with you, whether it is live or through a recording. And I'm happy to be on this journey of self discovery about the power that we hold within us. I will keep it brief because, as I said, the minute I pressed the streaming button, I started to feel a little wheezy, which means I probably need to eat something. Um, Here in the little tiny state of Delaware, it's a hot one today. It's 85, but not too hot, not unbearable. So I don't think this is heat related. I had grandbaby girl this weekend, so every bit of energy that I have is slowly draining. But I do feel out of sorts, and so we're just gonna meditate today. The message, the method in which I wanted to bring forth that message, we can do next week. We can do as we desire here in this space. It is my intention for the year 2024 to support all of us, and I'm including myself in that number, to facilitate all of us living from a place of power instead of a place of fear. If you pay attention, and I hope that you do, to some of the world events, it could put you in a state of fear for yourself, for your loved ones, for the world. And I think we are going to have to tap into our natural power, the power of who we are, the power of how we desire to show up in the world, and all of the things that that means physically, spiritually, mentally, and emotionally. Hey, Miss Rachel, how are you? I'm so glad to see your beautiful face. As I said, this is going to be a brief one today, maybe even 15 minutes, because I'm really, really, really not feeling well. And it just happened. Now, earlier this morning, my allergies were acting up, and I was like, I haven't had an allergy attack in years. And all of a sudden, my allergies are now bothering me. So I don't know if it's some super pollen going on in the atmosphere. I know we're supposed to get some uh, cicadas this summer. I heard one yesterday. I don't know if that's what's going on, but Miss Yolanda is not feeling well at all. And so we're going to meditate. I really wanted to talk about sacred contracts as we've been talking about the big ask, as we've been talking about coming from a place of power. Um, we are in that time period of this year long work in asking ourselves, what is it that I want to do with this power? I know where my power has been going. I'm making some adjustments. I'm focusing on myself. I have a higher sense of self awareness. What do I do with all of that information? Now that it's time for me to really get clear about the vision that I have for my life, the vision that I have for um, who I am and who I'm becoming, that is becoming clearer and clearer. How do I get there? And there are practical steps to get there. And we were going to go over those today. We will do that next week. But we can always meditate to prepare the way for us. Um, I told my beloved yesterday that there were parts of last week where I felt like my toe was about to step on the path of petty, that I was about to be really, really nasty and really, really petty for no reason, but I could feel it rising in my spirit. And it was almost as if the universe, God Almighty, and all of the spiritual activity that I know to be alive in this atmosphere put its hand in front of me and said, "No, don't do that. Do not do that. It's not necessary for you to do that. Change the way you're seeing yourself, change the way you're seeing other people, and you will not have to step on that petty pathway." And so I'm grateful that there are many paths that I could take in my life, but when I need an intercession, it is available to me. And I trust that I have to be better, or that I have to have a greater influence in my own behavior, so that someone isn't always coming to my rescue, someone isn't always coming to save me. Like, I have to be more mindful of that. And so let's meditate on that. Let's meditate on the vision becoming clearer for us, and all of the resources and the tools that are necessary for this goal to live in our lives, to make themselves known, so that we are more aware of them. They're probably right in front of our face as we speak, and we may not even recognize. When you think about that, that everything that you desire and the way in which it is to unfold in your life has the possibility of being in front of you on a day-to-day basis, and you just may not be aware of it, or it has not made itself known, but it's there. Like, if that is the mindset, if that is the perspective that each of us takes, then we might start seeing, hearing, and believing in different ways, instead of allowing our power to be misguided, putting our power into the places and spaces that say, "It's not going to happen. Who am I? That's too big. That's too grand. I'll never see it in this lifetime." All of the things that put us in an energy of resistance to the truth that all things that we desire are already within us. And it's like an awakening that we can come into. And so today's offering is entitled Terms and Conditions. And we're going to have to continue it into next week, because we are solely going to meditate for maybe about 15 minutes. And then I'm going to have to hop off and take care of myself. But we can absolutely meditate on clearing the pathway, so that when we get to that discussion on the terms and conditions of our sacred contract, you know how you sign up for something and there's terms and conditions, and we don't really read them. We think it's standard. Oh, it just says the same thing that all of the contracts say. But there are some intricate details in those terms and conditions that sometimes we don't avail ourselves to. Sometimes we don't recognize the power that we have in some of the services, the products, and the goods that we are using. There are protections in terms and conditions, but there's also protections for the other party. But if we don't read it, we don't know that. And so most of us just scroll through and just agree, because we know we want the thing that we want. The same is true for your life. You want the things that you want. You may not always want to read the terms and conditions of how you get there. So one of the things that we're going to talk about next week is that sacred contract that we all have. Hello, beloved. How are you? Happy Sunday. And so we may not be reading our own terms and conditions. We may not recognize that there are certain requirements for the vision that we have for our life. We might just be scrolling through and like, yeah, I agree. That's the thing that I want to do. But when it comes to the finite details of your sacred contract, how aware are you of the terms and conditions when it comes to the vision that you have for your life? Are you just one of those, I'm just going to scroll through and agree, and not recognize that there are requirements? There are things that I must know about. There are terms, limitations, and also expansion. There are conditions. There is alignment. There are all of these wonderful things that are contained within a sacred contract that we may not be aware of. And for those of us who are familiar with vision setting, goal setting, I'm sure we all know the acronym SMART. Your goal has to be specific. It's got to be measurable. There has to be some action steps. It's got to be realistic, and there needs to be a time frame. 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, whatever the time is. Those are the SMART. That's the acronym for goal setting. But when it comes to a sacred life contract, there are other things that we must consider. We will go in depth next week. Today, we're just going to meditate so that Coach Yolanda can go and take care of herself. Thank you for the graciousness that I know is present for me to be able to do that. I was all ready to go. I got my notes everywhere, and then I don't feel well. So let's all take some deep breaths, because this time will be meditation time. Next week, we're going to continue terms and conditions. We're going to breathe. We're going to breathe into this right now moment. If I have to pause to sneeze, it's because my allergies are also acting up. That might be contributing to me not feeling as though I have any energy, or that my energy is draining. But when it comes to meditating and aligning and putting things into balance and being focused on the here and the now, recognizing that this body that I have, the body that you have, is sacred. And when it needs something, it will ask. It is our responsibility to listen, to take heed, to do what is required so that we are the highest versions of ourselves for as long as it is possible. Like I said, I almost had my foot on. I hope that you can hear me better. I didn't even recognize that my microphone was not plugged all the way in. So that we all recognize that it's very easy to put your toe on a pathway that you may not necessarily want to go down. I found myself in that place this week where I was just like, I'm about to cuss somebody out. I'm about to tell somebody off. And I'm so grateful that even if that energy was present, that energy stayed here. That I didn't let it interfere with my interactions. At least I hope not. There were some people that were concerned, like, you don't seem like yourself, because I'm not. I'm grateful that the self that they are familiar with is a higher version than the version that I showed up with this week. And I'm also grateful for the intercession of love that was provided. And I desire the same for each and every single one of us. If we are feeling out of sorts, if we are feeling out of balance, if we are feeling uncertain, may there be an intercession of healing energy that allows you to connect with whatever it is that you are feeling, but also allows you to see that it can be transformed. That it is not a place that any one of us has to stay. That we have the ability to change things with the way that we think, the way that we feel, and the way that we behave, and knowing that those three things are interacting with one another at all times. If you don't feel well, you behave a particular way. If you don't feel well, you think a particular way. If you're not thinking in a particular way, you feel and behave. They're all interlocking pieces that make us who we are in a conscious way. And so let us breathe as we open ourselves up to the possibility, open our minds, open our hearts, open our souls to the possibility that in this right now moment, in this right now good, great, blessed moment, we are being supported mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually, even if it looks and feels and sounds like something else is going on. Can we open ourselves to the possibility that what may be happening in this right now moment is sort of a spiritual regulation? Like, some things have to be created, some things have to be cut, some things have to be normalized, or stabilized, may be a better word, stabilized. All of those things may need to happen all at once. There's some stabilization going on, there's some cutting going on, there's some creation going on, and you're feeling all of it at the same time. If you are like me or feeling like I've been feeling these past couple of days, we are feeling that all at the same time. All of this regulation going on. Knowing that growth at times is not comfortable, is uncertain. If you think back to when we were younger and we were growing into our bodies and we seemed to be clumsy, forgetful, unaware of our own power, I am reminded often as I see my brother, of a time that I went to kill a bee and broke a window. And he was like, "What's the matter with you? Don't you recognize how hard you were swinging that book?" And I'm like, "No, I didn't. I didn't know I had that amount of strength in my body because it's a body that I was unfamiliar with. It was doing things, it was stretching and growing, and things were becoming firmer, other things were becoming softer. I had no idea what was going on." And that may be going on for many of us spiritually, energetically. There's this growth going on where we feel a little clumsy. We may not feel like our usual self. And that might be necessary for what you are becoming. Let us trust and believe that the sacred contract that pulled us into existence, and try to visualize that. Forgive me. That there was a sacred contract that pulled you into this physical world because you and only you could meet the terms and conditions of this particular unique contract. Even if you feel as if you do something similar to someone else. The two of you, the three of you, how many of you you've identified do not do it in the same way. And so visualize this sacred contract pulling you into existence, crafting and creating all of these characteristics, all of these life experiences that you have, that you are, and that you will go through that align with that sacred contract so that you are learning lessons that are necessary for the terms and conditions of this contract, even if you are not consciously aware of all of the terms, of all of the conditions, of all of the requirements. You may not know the where, you may not know the why, the what, and it may feel as though they are beyond your control at this moment. But what has also been created within each and every single one of us and aligns with that sacred contract is a knowing and a wisdom of when things feel like they align with your spirit. You know when something does not align with your spirit. Even if you are presented something that sounds like the greatest, best idea ever, you inherently know when it aligns with your spirit, when it aligns with your values, when it aligns with your principles, and when it does not. And sometimes that's the battle of the human experience. Recognizing when something sounds good, feels good, might even taste good, but in your heart of hearts, you know it doesn't align with your soul. And how do we as humans, how do we as though having a human experience, how do we navigate that? How do we process that? This feels like exactly what I want. This sounds like a great idea. I think this is my purpose. I keep being placed in these situations, so this has to be it. However, there is something contained within that doesn't feel like it aligns with who I know myself to be or who I am becoming. Or maybe the perception is this thing is going to require me to be someone that I don't think that I am. Why me? Why does this thing keep presenting itself when I don't believe this is who I am? I don't think I meet the requirements. I don't think I can meet these terms. I don't think I can meet these conditions. And yet, I continue to be placed in this position. And I hope that we are breathing as we are contemplating all of these questions and the visualization of you being pulled in by this sacred contract with your name on it, and maybe not even your given name, but your imprint, your soul's name, your heart's name is yours. And your existence in this physical reality is your signature. You signed it. You're like, well, wait, how did I sign something that I didn't even get to read, that I didn't agree to? You wouldn't be here if you didn't agree. If there wasn't an agreement, an energetic agreement for whatever your sacred contract is, and open your mind to the possibility that it doesn't look like a traditional contract with your name at the top and dates and signatures. Open your mind to the possibility that this sacred contract is pulling you through life. Every single point in your life, this contract has been present and has been operating, perhaps in the background because you may not have been consciously aware of it. But visualize that. This thing is pulling me along. It is allowing me to see particular things that I need to see because it's necessary for my journey, for me to align. Let me be open to the possibility that my spirit, that my soul, that the parts of me that I don't even know have already been aligned with this contract. And as a spiritual being having a human experience, I am discovering things. There was something new that I learned today, and I'm like, you had to get 53 years of age before you learned this particular thing. Maybe that's the time that it needed to take in order for me to learn it in a way that I needed to learn it. And I can't feel bad about that. We can't feel bad about the time that it may take us to learn a particular thing. We could do ourselves a disservice when we center our mind on, oh, I should know that already. I should have that already. I should be that already. Let us open ourselves to the possibility that I wasn't ready last year, 10 years ago, 5 years ago. I wasn't prepared, but now I am fully prepared because I'm more trusting, I'm more aware, I'm believing in myself in ways that I perhaps did not. Or I was operating under someone else's thought of who I should be. Let's take a breath on that. Perhaps I was operating under someone else's idea of who I am supposed to be. Many of us, when we're young and our brains have not even fully developed, are supposed to plan out the rest of our lives. You're supposed to know, hopefully, by the time you graduate high school and they're telling you, you're not old enough to consume alcohol, but you are old enough to consider the direction of your entire life. What is it going to be? And you're like, my brain has not even fully formed. And I'm supposed to know what my life is supposed to be about. I don't even know about a sacred contract. Heck, at 18, I've just become old enough to really enter into a particular contract. You know, some places is 16, some places is 18. Like you're just becoming. And so the time it takes is the time it takes. And perhaps it's because the preparation was so great and so enormous, because what you are preparing to do is so great and so enormous, which is relative to you, not what anyone else says. And I'm not saying it's got to be this grand thing that the entire world is viewing. I'm saying in your life, it may be so grand that the preparation for it took decades. Took decades. Sister Marissa said at 15, folks were like, so what's it going to be, Marissa? Who you going to be? What you going to do? What's it going to look like? And you're like, let me see what would be most pleasing to the world for me to be. I can remember a conversation that I had with my mother, and she kept pushing me towards nursing. You should be a nurse. You love to take care of people. I didn't. I didn't like to take care of people. I was taught how to take care of people. Excuse me, one moment. Just because I was good at it didn't mean that I liked to do it, but this is what I was raised to do, take care of people. So, of course, you should go into nursing. You should go into healthcare because you love taking care of sick people. No, I don't. Never did. But that's what I was told I was good at. So, how many of us have been operating under this umbrella of the shoulda, coulda, wouldas, because this is what the world says you're good at, you should do, you will excel. And maybe you did. Great and wonderful. But there has always been a knowing in your soul of what you align with, of what feels true for you. And it can change. What a beautiful thing. It can change. Hello, my love. I just want to reiterate, we're in meditation because I'm not feeling well. And even though I said I was only going to do 15 minutes, it's already 28 minutes. But I am going to be ending the live stream early today. And then we're going to have a part 2 to this. So we're going to meditate so that when we come next Sunday, the first Sunday in July, we're prepared to work. And forgive me if that causes anyone any disruption in your belief that this is where you need to be. Hey, come on now. I might be good and great at a lot of things. That doesn't mean that it speaks to my spirit. Right now, I am doing something that I know I'm great at. I'm so good at it that I could do it in 20 minutes. Doesn't mean that I love doing it. Doesn't mean that it is the focus that I desire to have and where I want to put my time and attention. I recognize the value in it. And that is not to dismiss any work that anyone has done. You please, 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 please recognize the value in everything that you have done, whether you like doing it or not. You brought value to experiences, to interactions. You did. Even if in the midst of doing it, you were suffering. You're like, I can't stand this job. But you brought some value to it. And don't discount that. Don't dismiss that. And so as we are meditating on our sacred contract, the energy that has pulled us into this physical realm at this particular time. You could have been born at any other time in history. Oh, as they say, what a time to be alive. And look at where we're at. Look at what's going on. It is not by accident that we are witnessing what we are witnessing globally. And oh, what a time to be alive. And oh, what a time to be who I am becoming. And during this time, it is for a purpose. It is for a purpose. And so we are grateful for everything we've done, even when it felt like this is the last thing I wanted to do. I still hold some gratitude for what I saw in myself. What I now know about me is that I have the capacity to continue to be great even in the worst of circumstances. And so when I am feeling down about myself, when I am feeling not enough, I can say, girl, woman, queen, beloved, you rose to the occasion even when you didn't want to, even when you didn't want to show up. You showed up and you showed out and you still stayed true to who you are. And if you can do that in places and spaces where you don't want to be, imagine what is going to happen when you are in the place and space that aligns with your spirit. Ooh. Imagine what is going to unfold when you are in the place in the space that aligns with your spirit. We've already done it in the places that didn't align. Imagine. Visualize it for yourself. It's like, ooh, what are the kids? You're gonna be sick of me. I'm gonna be sick of myself when I'm in a place that allows my spirit, my soul, my heart to shine in the way that it has always desired to shine, desired to be. And if you are in that place right now, and many of us are in a place right now where, like, this is where I've always wanted to be, in a place of power, where the choices and the decisions that I'm making about my life, I am clear about. I believe in them. I trust them. I don't have any shame. I don't have any regret about what I am and who I am in this right now moment. And if more of us could get to that place where we are so sure of ourselves, that collective energy, that collective energy can move things in ways that we may not be familiar with. Oh, can y'all see this? Oh my goodness. So let's continue to breathe. Let's continue to focus on the vision and the contract that pulled me into existence and how I prepare to step in it, stand in it, speak from it, live from it. Hey, my love, how are you? We may only have 10 more minutes to go because I'm just not feeling well. The allergies have kicked up. My energy is just draining. And I'm not claiming any particular thing, but I know that my body is telling me, girl, you need to take care of yourself. But happy Sunday. And let us allow this meditation to take you through the week where you consistently tell yourself, I am in the preparation stages. I'm gathering information. I'm becoming clearer about who I am. I'm believing in myself. My prayers are clearer. I'm trusting that even if I don't like the position that I'm in right now, there's something of value for me to receive and something of value for me to give. I also have a big announcement that I want to share, but I can't do it when I'm all congested and just looking crazy. Let's meditate on how we are right where we're supposed to be. You may not know the why, the what. We'll get there next week. Like I said, everything that I had prepared, we will talk about that next week. For those of us who are used to goal setting, you are familiar with the acronym SMART: specific, measurable, action-oriented, realistic, and what's the time frame? We're going to touch on that, but we are going to go deeper into what a sacred contract looks like. There is actually a book by Caroline Mace called Sacred Contracts. It's a thick book. As you can see, there's a lot to gather from this particular text. I'm not telling you to go and get it, but if you really, really want to put your feet into what a sacred contract is, it could be helpful for you and it could be helpful for others, particularly if you work with individuals in terms of goal setting. We're going to talk about some of the principles here, but also the universal principles that every single one of us can tap into when it comes to vision creating, when it comes to the big ask. It's like, okay, I have a big ask. Now, what are some of the tools and resources that I need to put into place that prepares me for showing up like I have that thing right now? Because the one thing that I agree with goal setting measures that coaches and others have used for quite some time is there needs to be some structure. But there also needs to be, because we are spiritual beings having a human experience, there has to be an element of recognition of the sacredness. This energy pulled us into existence. I have to acknowledge the pull. I have to acknowledge the push. I have to acknowledge the terms and conditions. Because as I said earlier, many of us, when we sign up for something, they give us the terms and conditions. We don't read it. We just scroll to the bottom and say, okay, we agree because we want what we want. If you do that with your sacred contract, you might be in a ball of confusion, chaos, and I don't know what's going on because you didn't read the terms and conditions, because you are not aware of what is required of you to be the thing that you say that you want to be. And the example that I had, and we will use it next week, is so generic. It's like, what if you want to open a bakery? There are terms and conditions that people who have a bakery have to follow. But there are also sacred things that all of us as spiritual beings have to acknowledge, have to accept. And we'll talk about that next week. Thank you for the get well, feel better messages. I am going to take that to heart. I am going to jump off now. Next week, I know I will be better. I know that I will be feeling better. But right now, Mama's got to take care of herself. I am so grateful for each and every single one of you who I have been in conversation with. The conversations will continue. And I will get back to those of you who we're going to barter. We're going to have a contract between the two of us that is sacred so that we can support each other. I love y'all. I love y'all. I have to go take care of myself. I hope that you will also be taking care of yourselves this week. And if there's anything that I can do in the meantime, that's how you can reach me. I love y'all. I really, really do. Thank you so much. I will do my best. And I know the universe is going to support me in that as well. Talk to you soon. Bye bye. Oh, don't forget, next week, please bring a notebook. I'm going to change the description, but please bring a notebook, something to write, because we are going to be writing some things. I've already written some things and I would like for you to do the same. I love y'all. Thank you so much. We will be in conversation soon.